This is the Marketing Agency Power Hour, and I'm your host, Cal Wilder. Each week, we'll power through discussions on business challenges, success stories, and game-changing strategies. This show is sponsored by SmartBooks, provider of bookkeeping and accounting for marketing agencies. Let's get started. So I'm excited to be speaking to today's guest. She's a creative collaborator, a marketing expert, a business professional, and a team leader. She's an experienced marketer who's worked with some major companies like Yankee Barn Homes. I almost bought one myself maybe 15, 20 years ago. And Standard Recreation. She's really a specialist in consumer marketing, strategic planning, and digital marketing. She's the managing partner of Stratagess. Mary Dunn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Cal. Happy to be here.
So I'll ask you the same first question I ask all my guests. What is the single most powerful strategy for success in your agency these days?
Yeah, I would say, I think honestly, it comes down to people, as well as the right clients and finding that mix. So I think for us, we have a small but mighty team with tons of years of experience. So we are about 12 people deep, but everyone has over 10 plus years of experience working in marketing or at other agencies. And so I think those individuals who have given that much experience in the agency world, but are still willing to roll up their sleeves and over deliver for clients are somewhat hard to find. And I think that's probably what we pride ourselves on, is having a network of those seasoned, experienced marketers who just want to do the best work they possibly can for their clients at the end of the day and over deliver time after time. And then finding clients that expect, respect, appreciate the effort that's being put in on their behalf. And so if we can continue to match those two things that are both hard to find, but we've been doing it for the last 4 years and having success, I think we'll continue to be able to scale.
So how do you go about finding those people and vetting those people?
Yeah, honestly, I think we've been in the agency world for over a decade at this point. We've come across a lot of strong talent, both at our previous agency, at other agencies that we've been able to work with, just working with other clients. And so I think part of it's our network. I do think we also keep close relationships with people who have similar work ethics and similar outlooks and wanting to, again, like over deliver and under promise and continuing to exceed and meet those clients' expectations. So we have a strong network, I think, is probably our biggest thing and probably the best thing we retained from working at our former agency before starting Stratagess. And so we're lucky enough to have that network and reach out to it. And I think the team is really happy to be part of it.
So you've identified these people. Then how do you attract them and get them to come work at Stratagess?
Yeah, I think what we pride ourselves on, and both me and Morgan, my co-founder, are working moms. And so we joke, but it is silly. It is that work hard, play hard, but also that work-life balance. We want to be a place that people can see themselves long-term. We want to be a place that people have the flexibility to live their life. We want to be the place where if someone wants to work full-time and max hours, they can. If they want to be a part-time and have to be a mom 2 days a week, they also can do that, or a dad. And so I think part of it is finding a talent who's lived a life, is seasoned and experienced and knows what they want, and then kind of curating their career and their vision for themselves to fit where they are in their lifestyle or their life at this point.
So I assume this, for some of the same reasons they're attracted to come work with you, that's why they would stay working with you, right?
Yeah, I think, again, we have, employees who are new to motherhood. We have employees who have older kids. We have employees who don't want to be moms at all. And so I think, or dads, and I think that's really what we pride ourselves on, is kind of being able to find the flexibility to allow them to evolve. I think as life goes on, your vision and where you see yourself in 5 years changes, right? And that's not only your personal life, but your professional life. And I think what we really love about what we've created at Stratagess is that we're a place that evolves with people and kind of meets them where they're at. I think the same way we meet our clients in terms of what are your business objectives and how can we help? And maybe we have to ramp up or ramp down based on what you're looking for. We want to create those same relationships with our team members and being able to grow with them, be a spot that they have flexibility if they need to reduce their time. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of what has created this special place of employees who are so willing to roll up their sleeves and get the job done because at the end of the day, they know that we have their back and are trying to create a space that they can see themselves now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever that looks like.
Is this something you feel like you nailed from the beginning, or did you learn some lessons the hard way along the way about building this kind of a culture?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we've always set out to do, but I don't think, initially it was easy to do from the beginning, right? I think you have to work long, crazy hours no matter what when you're starting a business. And so, although we said we love to provide flexibility, it was kind of a grind, and we're okay with that. I think that's a story we love to tell. Um, so, I do think over time we figured it out. I think another big learning was we'd rather have a team in place and then find the clients, where I think historically, sometimes it was, okay, find and sell the client and then just find a body that works and fits and can service that client. And so I think what we've prided ourselves in has allowed for the flexibility is building a bench of team players that are looking for kind of their own unique scenario of a work-life balance, and then being able to find clients and then kind of match and pair them with the person that we already have waiting on the bench versus the other way around. And I think by doing it in that order, the clients are just set up for so much more success because they have someone who is tenured, who's super experienced, who knows what they're looking for, who can understand business objectives, but isn't necessarily, oh, great, you had 20 hours to give this month, you're going to take this client. And so I think that's a big thing for us is matching and finding the people first, clients second. And I think a lot of agencies do it in the reverse order. And I totally understand from a profitability perspective that it can be tricky, but I do think it ends up just setting up the relationship on the right foot with the right person.
Another thing I hear from some agency owners is, you know, they would feel like they struggle with that approach because they need to balance the skill set and the nature of the work with the particular client engagement. And so they would be nervous about having people on the bench that they can't deploy because the next project requires a different skill set. So how do you manage that dynamic?
Yeah, I think again, kind of back to kind of our unicorns, as I call them, is they really are generalists, but strategic generalists. And so that's even where Stratagess got its name, is strategy and success kind of combining. And so we have a team of really strategic doers, but who are also really great at client services. And so I do think that there's usually kind of this healthy balance of tension at a lot of agencies where you have your CS people, you have your PM team, and you have your production team, and all are really great at their individual craft, but might not be able to switch hit and play another role if needed. And so I think what's great about our team is really we've cultivated these individuals who have the experience, but are great at being able to switch hit. They can deliver the most beautiful, strategic deliverable to a client, but then also be able to present it and understand the steps it takes to get it done and PM that work to get done. And so I think that's why we've been able to set up the structure we have, because really anyone on our bench can service the client. Sure, do we have production specialists who specialize in paid search and specialize in paid social? Sure, yes. But do we have a team of generalists who can talk enough about those channels and understand what's performing well or not, or sniff out those, things that you need to be aware of? Absolutely. And so I think because we have that strong team with those strong skill sets, we're able to kind of have a bench of players ready to go. And we're confident that anyone can go up to bat and hit a home run without being like, ooh, you can't face this kind of pitcher. And so I think that's what kind of keeps us at ease, and knows that like no matter who on our team is going to be assigned to an account, we can sleep at night that they're going to deliver quality results for them.
And do you manage the business virtually, or do you have folks come into the office?
Yeah, so we are virtual. So we have employees and team members in California, Colorado. I myself am in Massachusetts. My business partner, Morgan, is in Vermont. Um, but we do try and have at least one team outing a year. So we do think that is so important. Morgan and I both worked for an agency in Boston and got to see our teammates every day, and just the ability to kind of like, smash our heads up against a wall together and kind of come out with the best solution in person is so powerful. So we do have, regularly scheduled team meetings on Zoom, but then we also do have at least one in-person retreat. This year was in Boston, so we got the team together, and it was just nice again. I think it was some of the first time some of our employees met one another, not virtually. And so you get to just get a better understanding of people's work styles and habits, and that makes so much more sense now. And so I think it's so important for teams to at least get together at least once throughout the year. But yeah, we're virtual, and we do that one in person kind of throughout the year.
Yeah, it's interesting. My company, SmartBooks, is in the U.S. at least. We are virtual as well. People spread across kind of the East Coast of the U.S. But then every now and then when we get together, like everybody's so excited to see each other and get together, and they bring the energy. Where sometimes if you go to an office every day, it's kind of a drudgery to commute in, and
Oh, the efficiencies. I mean, what is so crazy is now knowing what we know and how we once previously worked is kind of crazy how much time was wasted in terms of the commuting, or, the meetings that existed because we needed a meeting, not because we actually had something to discuss, or like it just became this like routine thing. And so I think teams virtually have just become so much more efficient with their time. I think it allows employees a little bit more flexibility in their day, that I genuinely couldn't imagine going back. But I do power and respect and appreciate the having that in person moment, and being able to see each other. So we try and create that space every so often for the team, or we'll have our, a couple of team members go to conferences together or go see a client together or something like that.
yeah, I feel like especially with the kind of people you employ, they're senior experienced professionals. They know what they're doing. They don't need a lot of training. They probably works well. I think, in my experience, when you have more junior people or they're newer to the company, it's nice to not have a commute and people like it, but, training is harder in a remote environment. Supervision, if somebody's struggling, it's hard to know why exactly they're struggling. There are a lot of variables in play, and it's hard to pin things down. So,
Yeah, we say we've all lived a life already, and we love the life we lived, and now we're glad we're in this next phase of our career evolution. And I think it's allowed us to, one, operate more efficiently, two, deliver better quality, three, like just not waste as much time. I love training and mentoring and managing, and that was such a passion of mine. It still is, but now it's like training people about like work-life balance and career objectives, and not like how to create a good deliverable. Like it's just a different type of mentoring and training that I value so much more. And I think our team just appreciates, again, like I think any one of our team members would be willing to roll up their sleeves and train a new hire that's fresh into marketing. But it's also kind of nice knowing that the person that's going to be doing this or that has already done it 1,000 times before. And so you're not having to hold your breath and wait and see, like, what am I going to get as a quality of work, or are they going to meet the deadline? I think like all of those dependability, accountability, consistency, quality is such a peace of mind thing. And then on top of it, they are all like, yeah, I don't need to commute. I don't need to see you in person every day.
so what are your dreams for your agency over the next few years? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I think we kind of like always joke, Morgan and I, just about responsible growth. I think we're at a phase in our life. We're both in our mid-30s. We both have young kids that we're trying to grow at a responsible pace that continues to keep our team engaged and interested, but also doesn't break the entire system and have clients suffer at the end of the day. I think we really do pride ourselves on client retention. I think over the last 4 years, we've probably had less than 5, 10 clients leave, and some were because it's like a seasonal project, some because they hired an internal hire that we helped train. Like, there really hasn't been those instances of like, you've underdelivered and I must leave. And I think that's something we really pride ourselves on, our reputation of like having our clients' best interest and like doing what is right for them as business owners, not overcharging because we have experienced team members, like just trying to be good, fair people, that, continue to incrementally grow and keep our team engaged and motivated year after year is really, as silly and simple as it sounds, is kind of our vision for ourselves. Is we've done the, crazy long nights and having to build deliverables overnight, but I do think right now it's kind of just this like responsible growth where clients and team are happy, and if we can do that and scale at the right pace where we continue to grow and keep people engaged without the quality of work suffering, like that's heaven for us, I think, rather than scale at all costs. We'll figure it out later. We'll make a lot of money. I think it's just like, this is great. Like what we've got going on. I think we've built a place where, again, people can see themselves being for years. Clients continue to work with us for years. And the stress is so low when like those are the expectations that it's easier to find new business because you're not having to worry about replacing a client leaving. It's just kind of that incremental growth, which, yeah, I think is simple answer, but that's kind of where I see us going over the next few years.
And what specific services do you provide clients?
Yeah, so, we kind of joke that we want to be part of our clients' teams. I think we're not one size fits all. So we joke, but we're kind of that like outsourced marketing CMO down to tactical execution person. And so we try and fit and play the role that our clients need. So for some of our clients, we might just be that CMO role and they have some mid-level marketing managers or younger associates that can implement some of the work that we're strategically advising on. In some instances, they have the CMO and we're the ones being told what to do and we're very tactical. And in some instances, we do it all. And when I say do it all, it's really from meeting with our clients to understand their business objectives and develop a marketing strategy that says, okay, here's how marketing can best support and achieve those business objectives we've identified. And now here's kind of the actual marketing channels we would recommend, whether that be, paid search via Google or Bing or email marketing and CRM management to paid social, organic social. We do website development. We do HubSpot, Zoho, email marketing automation. So like we kind of do it all. We have experience touching most of the channels. We do asset development, content creation, SEO. But I think the big thing is that we kind of are here from start to finish in terms of we can play whatever role a client needs us to, but we'll always put together kind of that strategy and then execute on it and play the role that our client needs us to play.
So with that kind of an approach, I can see why, clients would work with you for the long term because it's not project oriented necessarily. It's, you're kind of owning the marketing function to, or at least some part of that marketing function for the long term for clients.
Correct. Yeah. And I think like, I think at the end of the day, and remember even when I told my business partner when we first started thinking about this, I was like, I'm just someone who likes when things are fair and honest. And so I do think we really value and pride ourselves on the quality of work we deliver for the price we deliver it at. And I do think we are always thinking, okay, our competition is they could just hire someone internally, right? So what is that going to cost? What can they expect from that person? And how can we replicate and feel as good as the responsive as an internal hire, maybe with the person sitting right next to me, but also, wow, I'm getting crazy quality from an experienced marketer at a price I might be paying, a mid-level marketing manager who would be doing a decent job, but maybe not as experienced of a job. And so I think that's kind of how we have been successful, is that we provide great value. We're super responsive. So our clients feel as though we are an internal hire, but we're probably a better cost in that we're coming in at that like marketing manager level, but you're getting director quality work from our seasoned bench. And so I think if our clients feel like they're getting a good deal, we're delivering good quality, there's a great relationship there, a long relationship, it's a win-win for everyone.
Well, that all sounds good, but I'm sure it's not easy to execute, right? So what are some of the challenges you're facing, or a challenge that you recently had to overcome?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, when you're new to owning a business and trying to win business, you do say yes to anything. Just to be able to kind of secure the business, to keep the lights on, to keep your employees paid. And so I think there's definitely been, a history of us somewhat underselling our services because of the value we provide. And so I think how I said I want everything to be fair, it almost feels like things are unfair in our direction historically. And again, it's built the business, it's built the clients we have, and we're so appreciative. But I think that is something that having the confidence to know your worth and be able to, provide that value and charge that client that cost and have those difficult conversations, but demonstrate month over month that you're able to consistently deliver, I think has been something, we've historically struggled with, in that just being able to not we love to win and we love to say yes. And so I think those are two things that we can do a better job at of just, being able to have those constructive conversations about why prices might be increasing. Again, not to a point where they become unfair, but just to a point where the scale is a little bit more balanced in the quality of work we're delivering. And I do think, from a work-life balance perspective, uh, I think we've created a really great spot, but it took us a while to get there. And again, I'm so appreciative of like the early employees and team members we had who were willing to work the crazy hours or take on the new client because we didn't have that bench built. And so I think it was being able to get to the place we are at now took some time and some heavy lifting from a smaller team. And so I think those were probably some of the learnings we had.
So pricing engagement sounds like a challenge, or, a business model issue that you're working through or have recently kind of got more comfortable around, right? So how do you go about figuring out how to price your engagements?
Yeah, honestly, every client that we service, we basically deliver a quarterly project plan. Some can be 2 quarters, 3 quarters, a full year, basically based on that marketing strategy we propose. And so, really, what we look at is kind of from our team about how many hours is this going to take? What are the deliverables our clients are expecting to receive on a monthly basis? What would an internal employee delivering this type of work cost a client if they were to hire one directly? Again, they're not paying our benefits, our insurance, our 401ks. So there's price savings there, but again, we're not in the walls of their building every day either. So I think it's kind of taking all of those into consideration and again, coming out as silly as it sounds, and I know I'm like a basic business person, like, does this feel right? Does this feel fair? Does this give me the ick having to say a number out loud? Or am I like so confident because I know it's a great deal? And so like, where is that number where maybe I'm like, oh, like, am I a little uncomfortable, but does it still seem fair? And like, that's kind of how we figure it all out is taking all of those things into consideration. Coming out, we do charge all of our clients like monthly retainers. So it's also, predictable from a forecasting perspective. Um, but that's kind of our model in terms of the retainer side of things versus hourly or deliverable base. It's kind of all of it. And then also, what could you expect to pay someone internally to do this? And then does it feel right? Or I don't know if that's like the business 101 model of pricing, but those are at least kind of how we've historically done it. And it's worked so far.
Well, we're starting to touch a little bit on, finance and accounting here. So, given that's my day job, I got to ask you a couple questions about that. So I'm curious, like, how do you go about managing the bookkeeping and accounting at your business? Who do you have do the work, and what kind of reports or metrics do you get to stay on top of things?
Yeah, I think again, similar to how we are a good bench for our clients, we also have a good bench of people that help us run the business. So I think part of when we first started, some of the early on advice we did receive were like, meet with a financial planner, get a good accountant, and and, handle the bookkeeping as much as you need to internally, or make that like internal operations hire who can handle that for you. So we have about 55 clients at this point that receive monthly invoices from us on on a monthly basis. So we do have like an internal ops person who helps handle all of the invoicing and bookkeeping for us. We use QuickBooks. We also, for some of our clients that are on more like subscription retainers, which sounds silly, but we just do like some basic services for them that are kind of like rinse and repeat. We'll use like HubSpot invoicing because it's not a big, credit card fee or anything like that. It's like nominal for those types of retainers. And yeah, I guess that's who we use and our bench of players.
Cool. And then what kind of, metrics do you like to look at to get a sense for how you're performing?
Yeah, I think honestly, and this has probably been a big evolution or something that we're going to be looking at into 2026 too, is as silly as it sounds, it's really been like money in, money out the first few years of being a business owner. And like, are we bringing more money in than we are putting out? And if we are, great. I think now what we're going to be looking at is more like profitability by account. I think, again, as I talked about, we want to keep things fair, but there are definitely clients that we're over delivering for, the cost that we're receiving. And we have a strong bench of employees that we need to just factor in, like, what are their hours based on the accounts? Are we basically making money on this account? Are we losing money on this account? How profitable or unprofitable is the account? And so that's kind of our next evolution of like KPIs. I think right now it's really been historically retention, employee satisfaction, money in, money out. We're good. Now I think we're going to get to that next, just granular phase of profitability by account. Which accounts do we need to look at from a, do we need to increase a cost perspective? Do we need to also maybe reevaluate the services we're delivering? Maybe the client is very fine moving at a slower pace and we are just over delivering because it's in our nature to, right? And so at least putting the tools in place to measure that on a monthly basis to see what clients need attention one way or the other, and then kind of making adjustments as necessary is a big KPI we're looking into in 2026.
Yeah, that all makes sense, right? You've got to figure out kind of what kind of labor loaded gross profit margin you need for the business. And then what does that mean you need to be averaging for client projects? And how do you measure that with some kind of a labor value multiple, which then helps you price new deals that in theory are aligned with your profit margin targets. So yeah, we help clients work through all those things. So it's challenging to figure out when you try to, run the business and you're not a finance person by background most of the time.
Correct. Well, and I think that's the biggest thing is at the end of the day, we never want the client work to suffer. And so it's that old saying of working on the business versus in the business. And just being an agency owner, you're kind of constantly always working in the business, not on the business, just by nature of the beast. So yes, definitely.
And you can't go too far in the other extreme, just working on the business all the time and not in the business, right? That's the challenge for small business owners is finding that balance between working in and working on the business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think honestly, like we always joke, Morgan and I, where we're like, oh, we'd love to be a little bit further removed from the weeds of the clients, but never completely, because I do think you learn so much by working in the weeds with the clients and understanding frustrations the team might be facing and new technologies that are coming up. And so you do kind of have find that right balance of allowing yourself to continue to work in the business, just for those learning opportunities and empathy for the team even.
What, as you think to the future, what is exciting to you about the future?
What's exciting for me? I mean, obviously, I feel like you can't go on a podcast and not hear or speak about AI.
Yeah, it hasn't come up yet. I was curious if it was going to come up.
I was trying so hard, Cal. No, I think there's a ton of opportunity with AI. I'm hoping, at least to some extent, the bubble pops and we don't have to talk about it every day. But I do think there are so many time savings and efficiencies And I think what we need to learn a little bit more is even using AI to streamline more of our processes, where right now I think we are using it for very like surface level things like supporting with content creation and, building out creative and, but there's so much more that we can be doing and taking advantage of that I think would streamline some of the operations of the business. And so I think that's exciting to get a better understanding and wrap our head around it. I think other things that are exciting is it does, I think at one point when AI first came out, we're like, oh God, like, is this going to completely like replace the marketing person because so much of what we do can be done? And it's like, no, like that still requires the person behind the wall, if you will, like the Wizard of Oz of like the strategy development, the execution, the management of the tasks. And so I'm just excited for some of the chaos to subside a little bit and then just be using it just like a new tool that got released when HubSpot came out. Just that it's like a new thing that we can use. I think is what's exciting to me, and continuing to grow and to mentor and find more team members always is what excites me most.
So let's go back in time a little bit here. If you think about little Mary, did you think you'd be owning and managing your own business one day?
No, I played sports growing up. I was recruited to play college soccer and lacrosse, and honestly, me choosing the university I did came down to I liked the campus better. It was more green, there was a fountain, and if I went to one school, I would have been in their PA program, and if I went to the school I did, I'd be in their business program. And so at the time when I was 18, I wasn't overly passionate about what I wanted to be when I grew up. It was where did I want to play soccer and lacrosse, which is crazy. But that's where I was in my life.
And what school did you end up choosing?
So I ended up going to Bryant University in Rhode Island, a small private business school. It's getting bigger on the map now.
Well, I hired Mike Pressler when he left my alma mater back in the day.
Yes, Pressler's first year was my freshman year, and it was so cool getting to go to school at Bryant and watch it evolve into the program and university it is now. And I do genuinely feel like something switched when Pressler came and we entered into D1, and that was my freshman year. I think the first like incoming D1 recruited class, and you could just see the evolution of investments being made into athletics and where it is today. And it's awesome. But that's also where I met my now business partner, Morgan. That's where I found out about my first job at a marketing agency in Boston. I met my husband there. And so it's just crazy how, one decision can really, the butterfly effect, like make all of the ripple effects. And so, yeah, I guess young Mary did not know she would own a business and run a business, to answer your question in a very long-winded way. But I think once we worked at an agency and saw and kind of got under the hood and understood what it took to run a business, I think we had the confidence to feel like we could do it ourselves. And I'm so glad we did take the chance. And although young Mary wouldn't see it, I think she'd be pretty proud of current Mary.
What were the kind of the milestones or catalysts that kind of prompted you to take that plunge and open your own business?
Yeah, I think again, like I am so thankful and appreciative for the first agency we worked at. I worked there for over a decade. So did Morgan. I think they were just catalysts where one, I had just had my first baby, was pregnant with my second baby, understood that I wanted a shift in terms of, work-life balance. We were also commuting into Boston. So again, that was a big thing. The agency was trying to go more upmarket, which again, no fault to them for doing that. But I really loved the sweet spot of clients we had been servicing and the work we were doing for them. And I felt like the team we had at the time was able to handle those types of clients. And so I think that was always what's kind of sparked me, was like, I want to make sure our client talent matches the expectations our clients have, our employee talent, I should say. And so I think, yeah, the milestones were kind of needing more flexibility, figuring out kind of how to stay in that sweet spot that I felt we were in. And I think, both Morgan and I did really help kind of run the business from a day-to-day perspective in terms of staffing and helping manage. And so I think we were confident enough to feel like we could do it. Maybe like squint, hold our breath, and cross our fingers a little bit. But I think there was enough confidence there. And then once we kind of got the first client and the second client and the third client, it was like, okay, we could do this. So I think there were all of those milestones and also just having a very supportive family, and kind of just being like, all right, like, let's take a chance. So I think those were a lot of the factors that went into it.
If you could give yourself some advice with the benefit of hindsight a few years ago, what would you tell yourself?
I would say like know your worth. Know your worth and have confidence. I think again, whether it's what's the saying that I think a male has to be 70% confident that they are capable for a job to apply for the job. And a woman has to be like 110% confident that they have the skills that they possess to apply for a job. And so I think that's just kind of always been something in the very back of my head that like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Could I, shouldn't I like second guess? And so, like, if you're 70% confident, like, go for it. If you're 80% confident, whatever it is, like, don't feel like you have to wait to be 120% confident in yourself. And also, when it comes time to, like, demonstrating your services and speaking confidently to clients and demonstrating the worth and the value, like, I think it took me 4 years to realize, like, you can't find a better deal for the quality and the bench that we have and the expertise we have and the prices we charge that I think, like, it used to be kind of like, "Okay, well, if they tell me they can only afford this, I'm just gonna do it." Right? And so I think having that confidence to know our worth and stand behind our services and our team, because I do feel like after 10 years, 15 years at this point of working in the agency world, we do have some strong players, that, I wanna make sure we're taking care of. So I think know your worth and be okay being 70% confident to take a chance, would be my 2.
That's some great advice. It's tough, knowing your worth, but then being willing to actually ask for it, especially when you're starting the business and you're desperate for new clients. And if you price a little bit lower, you're more likely to win the business, but then you're stuck with a low price as long as you have that client, because clients never really want to pay more.
Yeah, and if you but, like, again, back to my, like, it has to be fair, like, you have to have the team and service to back it up to have that confidence, and so I think that's the biggest thing is I've the switch has gone off and that, like, the confidence is there because I know the team is there and the quality of work is there. If we didn't have that, I'd be like, "Oh god." But since we have that, I do feel like there's been a switch that has gone off of, like, it's okay. Have the difficult conversation. You're worth it kind of thing.
Yeah, someone gave me some advice many years ago because I've been in the service industries most of my career, and they told me basically make sure you price high enough that you can afford to hire good enough people to do a great job for that client when you're personally not doing the work yourself. And that always kind of stuck with me because, you know, do the work yourself. Yeah, you're pretty good. I'm sure you're awesome at the work, but you don't want to be a sole proprietor. So you have to be able to afford to hire other great people and pay them market rates. So you make sure you charge clients enough that you can afford to hire good people.
Yeah, and I think that was another big thing too is like, you know, that money in, money out thing was like we were not building Stratagess with the intention of making our books look so favorable that we were going to be bought in 5 years. I think it was really like we pay ourselves a fair amount. We pay our team members really well for the work they do and the hours they put in. And our clients pay us where we're not, saying, oh, we're going to be making 40% margin and we're going to do this and we're going to sell. It's kind of like, again, we came back to that like fairness of like, this is really like enjoyable work with really talented people, super nice clients. We're making more money working for ourselves than we did working for somebody else. And that's good. Like, I think that was, like, the big thing for us was it doesn't have to be these crazy margins and swings as long as, like, it feels right for everyone, and that's been really nice.
So when you're not working, what do you like to do outside of work?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Duxbury, Massachusetts, so I have 2 small kids, 4 and 2, Charlotte and Connor, and a black lab, Sully. So we are pretty frequently at the beach. My husband is a big Dave Matthews fan, so we're constantly at concerts. Love to watch a good sports game and have a nice tailgate. And my family, I grew up on Long Island, so I have family in New York, so constantly going back, visiting them, taking trips into New York City, and yeah, just really spending time with the family and coaching my little girl's soccer team, is hilarious and a new hobby of mine, but, yeah, keeping very chill and low key.
Yeah, coaching 4-year-olds in soccer, that is a challenge.
I would say it's actually herding cats is the name of the job right now, but it is, again, when they score their first goal or do their first thing and, like, they look at you like, I did it. Like there is it's awesome. So it's fun. The Duxbury Unicorns. We had a great season.
Yeah, I coach my kids. My kids are freshmen in high school now, so I recently retired from coaching soccer and basketball. But yeah, I remember I started coaching when they were spring of their kindergarten year. So we were a little bit older, but it was like you said, herding cats.
Yeah, but it's funny. I mean, I've coached high school, I've coached a little bit of college. Like honestly, the babies are and like seeing the light bulbs go off are almost just as fun as a high school championship game because there's just something different about their like innocence and joy of the sport.
So I'm excited for the College Cup coming up this weekend, or the Final Four. My alma mater, my Duke women are playing against Stanford Friday night, so I'll plug that. Although I think this episode will be released after the championship game, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, Bryant men's just made it. The soccer team made it to the final Sweet 16, and then lost in PKs, unfortunately. So that's like kissing your sister. But yeah, I am excited for the women's tournament.
Yeah, the Duke guys lost the other night to Akron.
Yeah,
Tough season for them. They were ranked high to begin with, but couldn't quite live up to the initial ranking this year.
it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's big time. College sports is like a lot of pressure, big time these days.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and now it's really. I mean, it's always been a business, but now it's also a business for the players. So it's a whole different world.
Yeah, you look at how much money some of the players can make through NIL deals. You look at how much money the coaches are getting paid, and don't even get me started on like the football programs are ridiculous.
I know. Well, when I was in high school, I was like, I want to be this is what I actually wanted to be when you asked me about Young Mary. What I wanted to be was like a sports agent for high school kids. I said this when I was like 15 because I hated the recruiting process and just having to send the videos and it was just a lot and it was overwhelming. And, at 15, you're bickering with your parents. Um, and now with the NIL, I was like, that's a real job now. Like that is, you can make some serious coin being an agent for a high school athlete. But I never got my law degree, so I guess we'll stick with marketing.
And I don't know how you coach in certain programs in certain sports where the players are basically free agents. They have their own income. They can transfer penalty free as many times as they want while they're eligible. And I don't know. I guess there's a balancing act, you know. You have to be able to figure out how to hold them accountable without getting them, thinking the grass is greener someplace else.
Totally. Well, and I think that even comes down, right, to like being a business owner. Like you gotta retain the great teammates and also be okay and willing to lose and get rid of the ones that aren't. Like, and so I do think that's a big side of it is like creating a space that players or team members don't want to leave. And if there are players that exist that don't enjoy the space you've created, then it's probably not a good fit and like be willing to accept that as well.
I really appreciate the time you spent here. If folks, have enjoyed this conversation, want to reach out to you to connect about something, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, sure. Our website is just stratagess.com and it's spelled funny. It's STRATAGESS.com. Think of it as strategy and success. And you have a contact form or just Mary@stratagess.com is my email. Whatever you need. We're here to help and have a great team.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story and how you go about, building and managing your team at Stratagess. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Mary.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Cal. Have a good one.
You too. And so, for those listening, if you've enjoyed this discussion, please tell your peers, fellow agency owners, this podcast exists so we can help each other out and connect with each other. This has been another exciting episode of the Marketing Agency Power Hour. We'll see you all next time. Another episode in the books. Thank you so much for tuning in. For show notes and more, please visit marketingagencypowerhour.com. This show is sponsored by SmartBooks, providing marketing agencies with bookkeeping, accounting, and finance support. With SmartBooks, you gain the clarity and confidence to make your agency a success. Until next time.